And a big thank you to our sponsor, Brightbound, for supporting this conversation. Brightbound is reimagining career readiness, helping middle and high school students explore their passions, try out career paths, and make confident decisions about their future.
So let me just mention some of the historic noms, all right, nominations. 16 for Sinners. That's the most ever in Oscar history, just so everybody knows that. The top before was 14 by Titanic and All About Eve and La La Land. Ruth E. Carter of Springfield, with her 5th nomination for Sinners, becomes the most nominated Black woman in Oscar history. That seems crazy. Okay. And Autumn Durald Akropa, as we said, first woman of color, first woman to win in the category of Best Cinematography. And Michael B. Jordan, 6th Black actor to win Best Actor. Let's take a listen to his acceptance speech.
Because of the people that came before me, Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, and to be amongst those giants, amongst those greats, amongst my ancestors, amongst my guys. Thank you, everybody in this room.
So he called the roll. I mean, that was just so Black all the way around. He called the roll. And at the beginning of his speech, he said, God is good. And the Black people in the audience said, all the time. just to make it really special. Reaction.
Finally. Finally. I mean, this was obviously a no-brainer for us, but apparently it blew the mind of Hollywood, and I'm glad that everyone got together and figured out that he was the best man for the job.
I also love the fact that he was really honored for doing what was, in fact, 2 roles in one, right? It wasn't just that it's an honor that someone who's Black ended up winning the award. It's that he actually demonstrated the sort of excellence that is deserving of the award, right? And so that, to me, was just quite a pleasure to even witness, you know?
What do you say, Magdiela?
I think his speech really showed how much reverence he had for all the people that came before him, because he was able to name them so quickly, and it was part of his speech. So I thought that was beautiful.
What do y'all think that about Ruth E. Carter being the most nominated Black woman in Oscar history? That seems so. That just tells you something. What does it say about wins and losses?
It is really stunning that we're still having firsts in the 21st century, and film has been around for over 100 years. This is insane. What I would point out about Akropa is she's biracial, Black and Filipino. Yes. And so that's wonderful. She shouldn't be the first woman and finally the last woman in a category that's gender neutral to finally win all categories. There's definitely a disconnect, and we know that. I don't know what can be done to solve it, because I think we're soon going to be going to original settings with Paramount's possible takeover of Warner Brothers. Like, Warner Brothers won big last night, and it was responsible for a lot of that diversity. Paramount has already made moves showing that they're going back to default settings with hiring people who are possibly alleged harassers and whatnot. Now, I'm hoping not, because I like some of Paramount's work, but there are no Warner Brothers. Paramount wasn't even on the board yesterday. Right. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here.
I think so often, a lot of times, what might be perceived as diversity hires or diversity opportunities are seen as risks. But what Ruth Carter, what Autumn Akropa, what Michael B. Jordan, what even Ryan Coogler have kind of demonstrated over the past many years is that they're kind of locks at the box office while also being critical successes. So it seems as if it's an opportunity for us to begin to not relegate these sorts of nominees or nominations, the number of them, to kind of a tokenism, but rather a recognition of both excellence at the box office, but also excellence amongst those who are critics and reviewers.
Magdiela?
Can you repeat the question, Callie? I'm sorry.
I just wonder what the wins and losses with these historic nominations as an umbrella mean for representation.
To piggyback off what you said, I also think that that showing that people are still being first and you're still getting goosebumps while you're watching really says something about the impact that it's creating to people and what it means for representation.
So let's talk about the new category of casting. The winner was for Frankenstein, and by the way, I think Frankenstein stole some of Sinners' awards, if you ask me. But anyway, the point is, is this an opportunity, by putting emphasis on who is cast and how casting happens, to actually broaden diversity?
I think from a journalistic perspective, what's going to be pretty interesting is now that it's a competitive landscape through which it can also be awarded, the casting division or the casting category, I think we're going to end up learning a lot more about what the process actually takes, right? I don't think many people who are watching a movie, watching any sort of film of any kind, have any sort of insight, right, into what it actually takes to find the right person or put the right person in what division. And so I think what's going to end up happening is we're going to get a lot better line of sight into what it takes to actually do it. And hopefully that sort of creates a sort of pressure to demand and expect a greater level of diversity.
Following up with that, Magyella, I was surprised to hear the folks who, as they introduced the casting nominees, how much hands-on they had. I thought they named the people and walked away, but that's not the case. So there really can be an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also it'd be interesting to see over the years who ends up winning, to see if there's like a pattern, like what people are striving for in the future, I think.
What do you say, Sarah?
So I believe yesterday the casting was One Battle After Another. I don't remember the woman's name. And then Frankenstein won a lot of the sort of behind the scenes awards. I was actually concerned that Sinners got so many nominations because they were going to sort of relegate it to the back with all the horror stuff, like, oh, well, you technically did some good and you got a few Oscars, but you know, you're not going to get the main deals. So I was actually fine with that sacrifice that went to Guillermo del Toro, who is amazing and I love him, but no, I didn't want him to win any major awards this time. Love him. He got it already for Shape of Water. So, so I think that casting is really exciting. I am interested in, now that that part of the world will be more like under the microscope, how will that change things?
Right, yeah. So again, just to clarify, you corrected me. One Battle After Another won the casting, not Frankenstein, as I was thinking about it. All right, let's talk about roles and the roles that folks of color often win for, particularly black folks. There's always some controversy about whether or not you have to play either a villain or a subservient character to really get the attention of the Academy. Well, we went to ask folks on the street what they thought about that.
We'll see what happens this Oscar season. I think if they do, in fact, award all black actors, not just Michael B. Jordan, and all POC actors, essentially, the awards that they do deserve for their roles, I think it will be a really good sign that we've come a lot further from the past.
Because there's still like indigenous people still winning like for the first time for a supporting role. Like I don't think that in those, especially in the climate of the world that we're in right now, I don't think that people are trying to push for that, and I don't think people are focusing on how important it is for black actors and BIPOC individuals to be winning those roles.
I do think that black actors and black actresses have this unspoken standard that we're held to, where we have to jump 5 times more hoops than the average white actor.
I just feel like it was definitely normalized in a way where like just black people are just villains in all these different TVs and movie shows, and it's like, what are we doing here? Feel what I'm saying? Like, what are we trying to push? What narrative are we trying to push?
So a lot of folks, as you said, Caleb, earlier, will look at Michael B. Jordan's win and said he had to work twice as hard, play 2 characters to win. So that may be part of the dynamic that we're talking about. But there's a particular focus on the role of Teyana Taylor, which she played, let's face it, an over-sexualized revolutionary, domestic revolutionary. Folks have lost their minds about, just the sort of denigrating role they felt that it was for her, and for black women writ large. What say you?
I love Teyana Taylor, and I'm dissociating. I'm pretending that she's really getting all of these nods delayed for 1001, this movie that was amazing.
So for former work, not
right.
this one.
I'm pretending in my head.
Yeah.
She is getting it for this. I'm pretending. So for me to get joy out of this, I have to remember her body of work, because I was one of like maybe 2 people in a very large audience that adored One Battle After Another, but I didn't. I was very uncomfortable, not only as a black woman, but as a biracial woman, and what that movie was saying, because I didn't read it as a political text. I read it because if you are familiar with Paul Thomas Anderson's work, you realize that a lot of this, he puts his own life in it. It's not necessarily a political screed. So it was a little disturbing to me that he had fractured himself into two fathers. One is the ambitious one who wants to smother basically and kill his kid, which he defeats at the end, and that's good. And he's also expressed in interviews how concerned he is about the state of the world and what he's leaving behind for his children.
Okay, rest there. Let me see what Caleb has to say.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson, since Boogie Nights or what have you, has always, in many cases, been displaying his evolving worldview at any given time. That's why people are reacting to Teyana Taylor's performance and her role, in part because we're uncomfortable with the fact that a guy who's white is projecting onto a black actress what exactly he thinks perhaps their role in this fictitious but very realistic world might need to be. And so as such, when the audience and critics and reviewers are reacting in a way that's somewhat positive, they're in many cases accepting the fact that the Academy, in many cases, is full of a lot of guys just like Paul Thomas Anderson who want to project a world that might look a little better, but in actuality might look better only in service of what they think might be the best outcomes for certain people who, like might be black women, might be black characters, but in many cases are people who don't get the choice as to how to make things on the screen.
So Magdala, a lot of people are mad because he is married to a black woman. So they think like you should know better by putting Teyana in this position in the role.
Right.
Just adding that in. What do you think?
Thank you. So Teyana Taylor, I think I love Teyana Taylor. I like her body of work too, and I do think that there is something to be said about how much skin women have to show, let alone a black woman, to earn like accolades. And so I think that that's an interesting take on that. And she definitely has to, a lot of like when people are looking at her on all the red carpets, they're like focusing on her body, and I think that that's interesting and also contributes to the over-sexualization of her in that film.
That's going to be a conversation going on forever. I thought she's a good actress, so she did good work, but there we have it. So I want to pick up on something you said about her being awarded this nomination, Sarah, because Paul Thomas Anderson finally got his Oscars. So he's been up for many, many Oscars over the year, and he got the big ones. He got the big picture, the best picture, and he got best director. And that means that he's squeezed out Ryan Coogler in both of those categories. And so often what happens, it certainly happened for me, people are getting the award for this year because of timing, bad timing. So I would say that a lot of people look at that and say it's total racism, but I know for sure the person that won in my category the year I was in should have won the year before. And so it comes back around. But what do you think about it in general?
I had accepted the fact because that road scene in One Battle After Another, it literally changes your brain chemistry. So even for someone like me whose arms are folded and I'm like, I don't like this movie, I can't deny that was an amazing scene. In my ideal world, he would have won for Best Directing and Sinners would have won for Best Picture. Yeah. But that's not how the Oscars work. They wanted someone to come ahead, and it was One Battle After Another. That's fine. I can live with that because that road scene is amazing. With that said, I'm a little concerned about the backlash for Teyana Taylor that I'm beginning to see online because a lot of the anger that people are directing at One Battle After Another are now being directed at her. Yeah. And I'm very concerned about that because she's an amazing, gorgeous woman, and now they want to blame the thing on her that she played a role in, but like, let's not do that. Let's not ruin someone's career at the height of it.
Yes.
And on top of that, I think we also, in many cases, are kind of abdicating or allowing people like Paul Thomas Anderson, who I am and always have been an extreme fan of, we're allowing him to kind of skirt past some of the criticism that I think would also add to his humanity as a director, his frailty, his vulnerability, his skills, his capabilities, where he might fall short and where he might be succeeding. And so I think in many cases, keeping that pressure and keeping the focus of our evaluation on the person who's putting the entire thing together, who's in the editing bay, who's writing it, who's adapting it from Vineland by Thomas Pynchon, like that's where a lot of our focus should be. And in many cases, we're just watching Teyana Taylor excel in a role that perhaps might not necessarily have been as well considered.
Magdala, want to add something?
I also thought that One Battle After Another was like, we walked in like 3 minutes late and we were like, what's going on? And it was very confusing, and it was like branded as a comedy, and I was like, I don't know. And I was like, well, Teyana Taylor agreed to do this role. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a confusing comedy, and it really took you through a whirlwind of things. Like you said, arms folded, but like you were still watching it and you were still kind of like locked in. And so I think that shows a little bit of how I feel about one battle after another. And then I also think that it's really unfortunate that Teyana Taylor has been blamed for kind of like the outcome of the movie, because she's just she's an actress there.
Yeah, well, as Black folks have been saying online for years, it seems that folks can only be great actors and actors in certain roles to be recognized at this level. And make no mistake about it, whatever you think about the Oscars, it's very important. It's a very important credential, and that means something. So I want to talk about Ryan Coogler building his little army posse creatively, and how many people he's brought up with him, along with his own talent. I mean, he did win for original screenplay, thank you very much. So I think this is a fantastic indication of some kind of progress, even if the numbers don't add up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a demonstration. What we're witnessing is, I think, pretty similar to Scorsese and De Niro in the 70s, right? Realizing that they have a certain level of chemistry. We're seeing that with Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. But I think on top of that, what we're also seeing is a certain level of inventiveness, right? Before, Ryan Coogler, in many cases, aside from Fruitvale Station, have been working with existing IP. But what we saw was the creation, or rather the rendering of a world that once was, and the blending of the horror genre that enabled us to then have some really deep and kind of confounding conversations about what does Black art mean and what is its currency then and now. So I think to some extent what we're witnessing is Scorsese and Robert De Niro, a la, you know, Taxi Driver in the early in the 70s, really coming to the fore, having serious commentary on the then and the now.
Oh, very interesting. What do you say, Magdalena?
I think that Ryan Coogler, everything that people have said in their speeches that have worked with him in some capacity has been like, thank you so much for believing me, for seeing something in me. And I think that speaks to what happens when you have a vision and you know how to execute it. I feel like he knew how to execute it, and he really could see through people and their what's it called? Your
talent, I guess.
Yeah, your talent, like seeing through to that. And so that's been really beautiful to see. They're like, oh, well, he saw me here, he met me here, and this is where I am now thanks to somebody believing in you. So I think it really speaks to the power of what happens when someone believes in you and is also a creative, like, mastermind.
So just for people who don't know, it's Michael B. Jordan, forever they've been working together. Ludwig Göransson, forever they've been working together, and Ludwig did win. And then Autumn Akrapa, this was her first time working with him, but the way that she spoke about how they worked together, I think we're going to see her again in the clubhouse.
And I think that the thing that is special about Coogler is, I would say, and I know this is sacrilege and everyone, the film bros are going to find me and beat me up, but I think he's better than Scorsese, and I'll tell you why. He is soup to nuts amazing. Even his hair yesterday was a statement. Teyana B did his hair, the braids, with the guitar and the treble clef. Everything he does, from music to everything, he's a true visionary. The way that he sees the world and he's not examining a corner of the world that is his and only examining what he is fascinated with. He is bringing all these he is like an international feature in America. And he can bring every culture in, and he's expansive, and he brings everyone in. And you don't see that with a lot of filmmakers. Everyone else is so busy saying, this is mine, you can't have it, and I need my piece of the pie. And he just wants everyone in. And there's a genuineness and an authenticness that's rare in Hollywood.
I forgot his wife, Zinzi Coogler. She was nominated and would have won it if they had gotten Best Picture. She's a producer. So, I mean, there is just, their group is amazing and fantastic. All right, last question really quickly. What about going forward? We know that at the 101 Academy Awards, it'll be on YouTube. So there'll be all kinds of different dynamics about who watches, what happens. There's a whole lot of controversy about membership voting right now. Still overwhelmingly white, but a lot more folks from around the world who are members, and also folks of color, considering where they came from. Is this going to make any progress? go a little faster. By the way, did you think this was significant momentum? How about you, Kayla? Was this year?
I think that I'm perhaps too much of an eternal optimist, despite the circumstances that we might see. So yeah, I do think this is significant progress. Awarding that, especially an original screenplay, is, I think, a recognition of his auteur flair and ability. I think, though, that the diversification in the ways in which we can access this material will hopefully, in my mind, ensure that movies don't become a luxury item, but an accessible item, an accessible cultural totem that a lot of people can engage in. So by going to YouTube, by having a larger voting base that are more representative of the entire world, perhaps, hopefully, we can engage more and more people who would otherwise never really take the time to watch a 3.5-hour show.
Okay,
right?
I'm stopping you there so Sarah can get in.
YouTube. So YouTube is sort of a negative forum. Sometimes the clicks go to the people who like to make the complaints first. So I'm a little concerned about moving it to that particular forum because, believe it or not, even though TikTok is much smaller, there's a different energy that can be positive there. YouTube is very much like all the movie reviews that come out and that are in the lead can be predominantly negative. So I'm a little concerned about that. Plus with the ads, how is that going to feel? Conan O'Brien did a great job making fun of that yesterday. I am optimistic in a way in the life will find a way. I mean, cinema survived a lot. It'll continue to survive a lot, I hope. And we'll see what happens. But I'm a little worried with the Warner Brothers move. I'm a little worried with the YouTube move.
Okay.
But people will figure it out.
Last word.
I'm a little bit more pessimistic, and I think I worry for people's attention spans and what happens if they don't get enough views and they have to make it shorter and shorter as it moves forward. So that's a thought that I have, but I also think that movies will still be something that people look forward to seeing, and a break from other things that are shorter form.
Okay. Well, I thank you, Caleb Gale. I thank you, Magdalena Mata, and I thank you, Sarah G. Vincent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Callie.
And a big thank you to our sponsor, Brightbound, for supporting this conversation. Brightbound is reimagining career readiness, helping middle and high school students explore their passions, try out career paths, and make confident decisions about their future.